the Epstein saga took another tense turn in early February 2026, centering on Ghislaine Maxwell, the woman who once orchestrated and managed aspects of Jeffrey Epstein's operations. Maxwell, now serving a 20-year sentence in a Texas prison, appeared virtually before a panel of lawmakers on February 9th. But almost immediately, the deposition came to a halt. Maxwell repeatedly invoked her Fifth Amendment rights, refusing to answer any questions related to Epstein. She made it abundantly clear that unless her own freedom was at stake, she would not speak. Every inquiry about Epstein, his network, or his alleged crimes was met with silence. Her legal team, however, hinted at a possible breakthrough. Maxwell could provide a full account of what happened, they said, but only of granted clemency. The attorney stressed that she alone held the key to untangling the complex web of abuse, manipulation, and criminal activity. In an unusual move, the attorney preemptively absolved former Presidents Trump and Clinton of wrongdoing, signaling that the negotiations, if they ever materialize, are focused entirely on Maxwell's willingness to cooperate. This standoff highlights the difficult position the Justice Department faces. Maxwell is the only person incarcerated from the sprawling network that prosecutors say involved numerous high-profile and influential figures. While the FBI and federal prosecutors found overwhelming evidence that Epstein sexually abused minors, they repeatedly concluded that there was insufficient evidence to prove in court that others knowingly participated. The legal system, bound by proof and procedure, struggles to translate suspicion and moral certainty into convictions. Maxwell's silence, therefore, is not just a personal act of defiance, it is a barrier to uncovering the truth about who else may have been involved, and to what extent the network operated unchecked. These stakes are high. Without her testimony, the identities and roles of co-conspirators may remain forever obscured. The public, the victims, and lawmakers alike are left with questions that hang over this case like a shadow. Who knew what, when, and why did the system allow such abuse to continue? Maxwell holds the answers, and her silence keeps the doors to justice frustratingly closed. While Maxwell's silence dominates the headlines, newly released documents continue to reveal unsettling details about Epstein's sprawling operations. Internal FBI records, Justice Department memos, and private emails show a network that was intricate, manipulative, and, in many ways, protected by gaps in oversight. Some emails initially caused alarm, suggesting abuse of very young girls, but later review clarified that the references involved older teens. Still, the content is deeply disturbing, describing sexualized behavior involving girls as young as 14 and 15, with discussions that casually normalized exploitation. These documents also hint at potential co-conspirators. Bidionia Re City, Wixana Epstein's longtime associate and the founder of Victoria's Secret, appears repeatedly in correspondence and financial records. Despite the appearances, prosecutors reportedly did not find sufficient evidence to charge him. Other individuals connected to Epstein's inner circle, including international figures and longtime associates, also surface in emails and memos. Yet, the paper trail alone was never enough to secure federal convictions beyond Maxwell, and some allegations were referred to local law enforcement instead, leaving unanswered questions about the true scope of the network. High-profile names in the United Kingdom also appear. Newly revealed emails indicate that Prince Andrew shared travel itineraries and confidential updates with Epstein, raising concerns about potential misconduct. Similarly, government officials connected to sensitive financial information were scrutinized after emails suggested prior warnings or share details. Though no charges have been filed, these revelations illustrate how far-reaching Epstein's influence was, spanning continents, governments, and corporate empires. The document dumps the troubling reality, suspicion, and public outrage do not automatically translate into convictions. Investigators found evidence of abuse and manipulation, but proving complicity in court requires documentation, witnesses, and financial trails that were often incomplete or inaccessible. Without Maxwell's cooperation, Key details remain locked away, leaving the public with only fragments of the full story. Each new email and memo reinforces the shadow of unanswered questions, demonstrating how a single individual's silence can maintain the secrecy of a network that touched so many lives. The Epstein case did not end with his death, nor with Maxwell's conviction. Even years later, the reverberations continue to shape public scrutiny, political fallout, and legal investigations worldwide. Newly released documents and emails show just how far-reaching Epstein's influence was, from billionaires managing his wealth to government officials sharing sensitive information. The network stretched across continents, industries, and powerful institutions. Yet, despite the revelations, prosecutors repeatedly concluded that federal evidence was insufficient to charge anyone besides Maxwell, leaving the wider circle of associates and enablers legally untouched. In the United States, victims' stories remain central. The FBI's records indicate that dozens of underage girls were exploited in Epstein's Palm Beach mansion, in New York, Florida, and the Virgin Islands. While some victims allege abuse by others connected to Epstein, investigators determined that the evidence was often incomplete or highlighting the frustrating distinction between suspicion and actionable proof. The gap between moral certainty and legal conviction has left survivors and the public with a sense of unfinished justice, and raised questions about systemic failures that allowed Epstein's crimes to persist for years. Internationally, scrutiny has focused on figures such as Prince Andrew in the United Kingdom and officials linked to sensitive government operations. Newly surfaced correspondence suggests that information ranging from travel plans to financial aloots was shared with Epstein, prompting investigations into potential misconduct. While no criminal charges have been filed against these individuals, the revelations reinforce the perception that Epstein's reach extended into circles of extraordinary power, leaving questions about accountability and influence unanswered. Ultimately, the case underscores the fragility of justice when dealing with individuals who operate within wealth, privilege, and secrecy. Maxwell's ongoing silence, coupled with her offer to cooperate only under clemency, illustrates the delicate balance between law, leverage, and truth. Without her testimony, the full scope of Epstein's network may never be revealed. For the victims, the public, and investigators alike, the story remains incomplete, a stark reminder that uncovering the truth often requires navigating not just evidence, but power, influence, and the complex motivations of those willing to protect themselves above all else.